Today is May 15th, 2021. Yesterday I had the opportunity to go down to Raintree Tropicals in Silverton, Oregon. And it's a really cool place. I can't believe I've never heard of it before. They have so much cool stuff. I have a really good selection of plants that are hard to find up here in the Pacific Northwest, and their prices are even pretty good. And Steve, the guy who runs it, is a great guy to talk to, and he knows quite a bit and very friendly, very helpful. So unfortunately my phone was about dead, so I couldn't take any video and only got a couple pictures, not very good ones. This is my Jubea that I bought. This is the biggest Jubea that I have, but it's still pretty small. Jubeas grow so slow that once they get much bigger than this, they start doubling and tripling in price in a hurry. Sable Minor Louisiana. Sable Minor Urasana. I wanted to get more Sable Minors, but I was getting so much stuff. You can only do so much damage, you know. Butea Eriospatha. I love the way that the leaflets are soft and they kind of droopy. Compare that to my other Buteas that I got from Lowe's. See how the leaflets are stiff and erect and spiky. They don't look very comfortable. But these are more like a queen palm or a hybrid where the fronds dangle in the wind, and I think it just looks like a lot more comfortable looking palm tree. Most of their palms, they're at Raintree Tropicals. They're out in a gravel yard, and the pots on most of them are really small compared to the size of the trunk. So it seems like the soil on just about all of the pots were really dry, and most of the palms have these really yellow looking fronds. Another Trachycarpus fortunei, just because. And then this was the single most expensive thing that I bought. A Trachycarpus tequil. I think it's a great looking trachy, besides the little bit of yellowing on it. And it's the biggest one that I have now. Got 3 needle palms. These are, for some reason, really hard to find, and they're slow growing, so they're pretty expensive, just because they're so hard to come by. So they're a little bit expensive for what they are, but I really like needle palms. Glad I finally got some. I picked up another Dicksonia antarctica. The price on these were actually really good, and it's already got a few inches of trunk. My other Dicksonia has no trunk, so that's cool. Then I picked up 3 of these Chamaedorea microspadics. I've really kind of fallen in love with understory palms. If you get a whole bunch of them in a big cluster and a big hedge, it just feels like you're in the jungle. So both of these plants, the Dicksonia and the Chamaedorea, they're either marginally hardy or not hardy to this zone, depending on your perspective and where they are and everything. But I think I've got a pretty good little microclimate for them. Underneath the shade of this giant Camellia japonica, and then they'll also be partially under the roof of my deck on my back porch. So I think it's a good spot for them. They're not going to get hardly any direct sunlight though. I know that most understory palms do well in shade, but I know that our summers are really mild, and a lot of shade-loving palms actually do better with some sunlight when you're up here in this area. So I also ordered some Aringa Inglaris from Jungle Music. Probably put those over here right beside them. There's so much conflicting information online as to the hardiness of different palms. And I know there's a bunch of different factors involved. The location, the microclimate, the sun exposure, how long they're below freezing, and even just the individual plant. You might have two palm trees right side by side that endure the exact same conditions, and they freeze, and one of them will make it and one of them will not. So I know there's 100 different variables, so I think it's all just magic. This is not from Raintree. This is from Home Depot. This is a cat palm, and I always butcher the Latin name, Chamaedorea cataracticum or something. I only got this because it was cheap and it's flowering. That's really cool. When I saw the flowers, I had to buy it. And it's really big for being a Home Depot cat palm. They're usually really small. So now I just got to figure out where I'm going to put all of these. I think the needle palms and maybe the sable minors might go into the greenhouse, just because I know they're slow growing and I want them to get bigger. Oh, the other cool thing that I picked up, I cannot for the life of me remember the name of this fern, but when I was in Orlando, you see these ferns hanging out of the boots of palm trees where they cut the old fronds off, and these ferns dangle out of the trunk of the palm trees. So I'm sure this is not hardy here. I'm sure it will need to stay in the greenhouse or maybe even indoors, but just kind of cool.